Just another brother with another humble question. Just another brother with another humble question.
Welcome to another episode of A Brother with Questions. I am your host, B. Period. I appreciate you for joining me. We're going to be diving into this video that you can see over here to my left. Well, maybe it's your right. I'm not sure right now. But we're going to dive in this video. Before we get started, though, let me not forget to ask you to like and subscribe to the channel. And don't forget to comment, man. Let me know what you're thinking. Let me know what you think. Tell me what you think of these videos, what you think of the topic. I appreciate y'all, man. But let's dive in. So this right here is blowing up, especially on TikTok. It's going around a lot on TikTok. But it is a video of, I found out, a middle school teacher. And we're going to watch as he has some of his students helping take his hair down. And so he's going to talk about it a little bit. So we'll dive in and we'll kind of dive into what the conversation has been around this video.
Let's go ahead and stir the pot a little, shall we? Last Friday, 10 minutes before dismissal time, I decided to live stream my students helping me take my hair out. There was quite the discourse in the chat, which had people saying this was inappropriate and other people saying this was completely fine. There was nothing wrong with what I was doing and people were just making it weird. So of course I had to bring this issue to the big stage. I would like to represent myself in this case, Your Honor, if I may. Number one, for a little context, I had a hair appointment immediately after school and I needed my hair taken out beforehand. I would have taken it out the night before, but that Friday we had a camera crew coming in to shoot a promotional video and I was one of the ones being interviewed. So I had to look presentable, so I didn't take my hair out. I didn't have the time to do it all myself because it would have taken me forever. So naturally I asked about 4 or 5 of my over 100 best friends to assist me in taking my hair out, and they all agreed.
Okay, let's stop right there. I think this gives us enough context for this video. So let's start here. So the first thing he tells us is, and we can clearly see from the video, again, middle school teacher. So these are middle school girls. I'm not sure what age, but if I had to guess, I would say 7th, 8th grade, somewhere in there. And he decided, he says, to live stream them taking his hair down. So that's, before I even get to, should he have let them touch his hair, if you will. The first issue I saw with this video is the fact that you decided to live stream in the middle of the day. And so just from an operational standpoint, number one, most school districts across the country are trying to limit the use of phones in the classroom. And so as a teacher now, you've decided to live stream your students in the middle of the school day, or the end of the school day, as you described it, taking down your hair. So even before we get to the hair, I'm wondering, why are you live streaming your classroom? There's some things that, and I know, as you know, this young man seems younger than me anyway. You know, I didn't grow up in the social media area. And so, like a lot of people my age, we use social media, but we still have a mindset of, you got to be careful with this thing. Whereas the generation that grew up with social media sees social media as a way to showcase what you're doing in life. And I think that was the first mistake that I see in this particular scenario, is that you decided to live stream in the middle of the school day. And so from an administration standpoint, I have to now find a way to defend why you were live streaming in your classroom, right? Not what the kids were doing. I'm trying to defend why you're live streaming in the classroom. So there's mistake number one. Then we go on to the fact that what you're actually live streaming is young girls taking down your hair. Now, I understand the act, and I respect the fact that the act of what is happening here is innocent. I even respect the fact that you have a camera on validates the fact that this was ultimately innocent. So from that standpoint, I'm not even accusing you of doing anything, let's say, negative, right? Because everything you're doing is being live streamed. So if anybody had a question whether you're doing something shady, well, the live stream is showing me that there's nothing shady going on. But again, why are these young ladies taking down your hair? And again, I heard you. It was the end of the school day. Testing had been done, so you weren't doing any real work. Get that part too, because kids, after they do testing, definitely aren't trying to do any real work. So I get that. And I even understand the fact that, because while I may not have hair now, as I remind people, I have had hair before, I've had braids before. So I understand the task and the tediousness of trying to take down a bunch of braided hair and how time consuming that is. And so having these young ladies, 4 or 5, however many were there, is of great benefit to you, because man, it takes the time down as far as how long it's going to take tremendously. But it's the wherewithal to not see, not that you did anything wrong, but the wherewithal to not realize that not everybody's going to see this as innocent as you do. And in the world we live in today, I saw a post when people were talking about this video, and they said there's a case in Houston of a young black male, it seems as well, who was flirting with little girls and trying to sleep with them. And we're talking about this young man having little girls take his hair down, and nobody's talking about the teacher in Houston who's been flirting with the little girls. And I get that particular person's point, but it's also the point that I want to make as to why even the most innocent of tasks in today's environment can be construed and taken in the wrong way. And not that that's your fault, but that's your responsibility now to be more mindful of what the perception may be and why I can't necessarily put this out on the internet, because not everybody's going to see it the same way. And then lastly, I even get the understanding that it's the end of the school day. There's nothing else. You don't want to do a whole lot of work. In another video I saw, the young man was talking about how a lot of his young ladies are aspiring beauticians, or they do some of their friends' hair and stuff on the side. So for them to take his hair down is actually, I don't want to say mentoring, but it's giving these little girls an opportunity to do something that they love to do. And I get all of that. I say all of that, and I still know if I were in your shoes, I wouldn't have did it. No, I still wouldn't have did it. I would have encouraged them to maybe do it to each other, but I still wouldn't have did it to me. But I understand. I come from a different generation, and in my generation, as a teacher, you know, nah, bruh. I don't even do hugs, bruh. Like daps. You know? So I get it though. I'm in a different generation. I'm in a different generation. As my friend would tell me, he want all the kids to know he don't like them. I don't like you like that. No, I ain't talking about liking you like that. I just don't like you, period. Like, no, I don't even like you. You are annoying. Please leave me alone. But so again, different generation. And so as I've been watching the chatter about this video, It has obviously gone the gamut to suggest this young man is grooming little girls for what he might want to do with them in the future. I've heard them say that this young man is encouraging them in terms of trying to be encouraging about the things that they want to do in the future. I hear other things about this young man is building a relationship with his students, and so this is a part of that relationship building process. And I tend to, from his perspective, right? I tend to see this from his perspective as a relationship building process. I was taking a look at his TikTok page, is what he was posting all of this on. And he certainly does a lot of things to try and build relationships with his students. So I see this as an extension of it. And unfortunately, I think in his effort to show what building a relationship could be like with your students, as things do in this world today, it is unfortunately, in today's world, your intentions may be good, but it's the perception of others that will ultimately dictate the response. And I think young people, as much as they love social media, as much as they, want to use social media to highlight the good things that they're trying to do, they miss the point of realizing that the death or the good and the bad of social media is, unfortunately, it dictates the response. And so his intentions were great, probably. I'm looking at his TikTok page. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and say that he had no malintention here whatsoever. But unfortunately, he forgot that golden rule of, it's not what you say, it's what people assume. And in this school environment, where now that you've put it out here, now that the world has seen what you are doing in the classroom, now it's not up to you to dictate and determine how people feel. It's now up to the outside world. And ultimately, it's up to the administration to now have to ultimately do one of two things, right? You now have put them in a situation where they now have to either defend what you do, or they have to get rid of you. And the one thing that I think the older generation understands much better than the younger generation is, you gotta CYA. You gotta not put yourself in a position to allow someone else to ultimately dictate what happens to you. And now that the administration has to now either choose to defend your, number one, use of live streaming TikTok in the middle of the school day. And it doesn't matter if it was the beginning of the school day, the end of the school day, there were 15 minutes left in school. It was the school day. You were live streaming TikTok. Not only that, now you've also live streamed TikTok with students who, yes, they're your students, but you haven't spoken to their parents to say, I'm okay with my child being on live TikTok, taking out the braids of their teacher. You never gave the parents an opportunity to go yay or nay. And then on top of that, when the school board has to go back and now answer for this, you have put it in their position to try and quote unquote defend your actions or your intentions. And unfortunately, we don't live in a world where anybody's going to do that. And there's a part of me that feels bad for you, because I honestly believe there was no malintention on your part, and you honestly, in the back of your mind, This was you showing how you can build a relationship with students and then ultimately get those students to work hard and become successful. And it totally backfired on because you forgot the golden rule. When it comes to these classrooms, it's not about you. It's not about you. It's ultimately about those kids and what's best for those kids. And there's very few people who are going to argue that this was the best thing for those kids. Now, before I end this video, I want to show you the response of him. And so obviously this video blew up way bigger than he ever thought it would be. And there's some people saying he's got fired. So I'm not really sure if he's been fired or suspended at this point. But here's what the response that he posted after watching the backlash. And so let's just take a little bit a look at
all the controversy that has come from this video that I posted. I wanted to come on here and read some of the messages that my students are sending me during some of the messages that they've been sending me. During this time. Hey, bestie. I really hope that you see this message. How are you? I hope that you're okay. Our class misses you so much, and we really want you to know that we love you and we miss you so much and can't wait for you to come back. I can't believe that taking somebody's hair out is such a big deal, and it makes me so mad that people make little things big things. I want you to know that the class and others got your back, and we will always stand behind you and up for you no matter what happens. We got you. Again, we miss you and we love you so much and can't wait for you to come back. I wish that this never happened because it feels like we're losing you.
So and he goes on for about another 4 minutes just reading messages. But it goes to my point. I don't think, and you can call me wrong, I don't think this young man's intentions were bad. But I do think he was misguided in making the assumption that this is just going to fly. And it's that building relationships with students is paramount in the classroom. And finding ways to do that successfully is paramount in the classroom. But you don't have to, even under the most innocent of circumstances. It's not necessary to tell everybody how you did that. It's not necessary to show everybody on TikTok, social media, all that you're doing. It's okay to build relationship with those students. Have those relationships exist. And let it be. The last thing I'll say, though, is, and I think this is more of a young person thing, I'm sure there's a lot of people that probably have a problem with the fact that even in his first video, he referred to them as his besties. And obviously in reading that excerpt from the letter that we did see, they referred to him as their bestie. And so the one thing that I always say, you need to be careful of is, yes, we can build relationships, but we aren't friends. And that's the other line that I think that he missed, and this is just my perception of it. it almost sounds like he's talking about his friends and not his students. And again, I'm not putting anything negative on him, but it's the perception of what that sounds like to the outside world, what that might sound like to the administration, what that might sound like to the parent. And so you have to always, in my opinion, maintain that boundary so that there's never the perception that anything wrong is going to happen or anything wrong is happening. You might argue that the old school principle of CYA is a little outdated for today's world. But you know what it does do? Keeps you out of trouble. And on that note, I'm B period, and I'm out.
Yeah.